Happy Monday, everyone.
Young blood made of gold, a mind you can't control. Running wild, can't come down. My head is in the clouds. Gotta keep this feeling, keep on breathing, even if we're slipping away. So I close my eyes and lose myself now. Do it like it's only today. We're gonna party for a lifetime. No, we ain't stopping for the sunrise. No, we don't care about the bad nights. Before a second, I can feel like this. Make me feel like this. We gotta party for a lifetime. No, we ain't stopping for the sunrise. No, we don't care about the bad nights. Before a second, I can feel like this. Make me feel like this.
Thank you, Cheryl, for being number 77. Hello, everyone. Let's get it started. You're not late, baby duck. How about that? Hey, Vic, Grace. But first, coffee. I see you daily. Ashley, Matt, Michelle, Katie, and
I'm broken and I'm woken up. I'm done feeling your lies. I've had enough. I can't run your place in this faulty game. And all the words you speak mean nothing more to me. 'Cause let's start over now. Rewind. And I won't let you go. I need you by my side.
love and blessings to you, Sky Maiden, everyone else in the world.
I'm gone, don't run from the truth. You're lost, now I know you play me just like a flute. I still
Congratulations, Angela.
had me on a leash, cutting all my teeth with all the lies you bring. Let's start over now. Rewind, and I won't let you go. I need you by my side.
Probably no TV. Congratulations, Andy Cooper.
Let's take it slow. Where you go, I go too. And if you hit the bottom, I'm going down with you. Let's take it slow. Who cares where we gotta be? You know you'll have a good time wherever you're with me. Let's take it slow. 'cause you don't know how. You say we're taking on water, yeah, we're sinking now. You're looking all concerned, like we're gonna drown, but we both know how to swim. No worries, let's flow for now. Let's take it slow. Where you go, I go too. And if you hit the bottom, I'm going down with you. Let's take it slow. Who cares where we gotta be? You know you'll have a good time wherever you're with me. Let's take it slow. I drag you out your mind, and there are days I hate you, but baby, you're still mine. And now we have the best times, no matter what we do. And even when we don't, there's nobody I'd rather choose. Let's take it slow. Where you go, I go too. And if you hit the bottom, I'm going down with you. Let's take it slow. Who cares where we gotta be? You know you'll have a good time wherever you're with me. Let's take it slow. Where you go, I go too. And if you hit the bottom, I'm going down with you. Let's take it slow. Who cares where we gotta be? You know you'll have a good time wherever you're with me.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. Really do appreciate your time. You could have chosen to be anywhere on the internet, anywhere in the world, and you chose to be right here. Thank you so much. Good to see you all. Today is August 12th, 2024, 5:55 p.m. on the East Coast of the United States. Bonjour, my children. Bonjour. Hello. So, good to see you all. Thank you guys. You guys are very sweet. So, we are going to be speaking about the Sebastian Rogers case. Today, I'm going to be live quite a bit this evening. I have been almost nonstop since last night or yesterday evening, working, speaking to people. And after this live, we will be having a very important members only live at here in a little bit after this is over. Yeah, I've got a fan on me. I always have a fan on me. So just did his YouTube. That's awesome. I got your voices, of course. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. But what we're going to do now, I am tying a live in with this live, and you'll, I guess, understand more when we get to the members only live. That's a very important one. And I will take it off members live later, of course, for the non-members. No problem there. But I do have to give my the members something every once in a while. So really appreciate it. So without further ado, Peter Hyatt is one of the best word analysis that, in my opinion, that you can come across on YouTube or anywhere. I really appreciate his work. I also appreciate see, my mind goes blank. Lord, Pat Brown, there we go. And of course, Deception Detective. Those are my three favorites. That, and of course, Steve and Dr. Gary. But Steve does very similar, like, word analysis, but he does also behavioral analysis. And Dr. Gary's more on the psychological side of it. And there are parts of this interview that, or what Peter says in this, that I think will tie very interesting into some of the information. I subscribe to Pat Brown on your suggestion, Justin. Zip her, like her a lot. Yeah. She's amazing. Pat is as well. I like them because they're not afraid to speak what, in their opinions are. I feel like, respectfully, some of the really big channels have kind of, they're afraid to speak their minds now, whether that is for sponsor related or whatever. I don't know their intentions, but, and they're just, and they always say, I'm not afraid to be wrong either. And obviously everyone wants to be wrong when it comes to a child that is missing or allegedly unalived by someone, right? So I want to go over yeah, Sonny, trust me, I understand. I rarely do members only lives. I usually only do really a few a year. And I will take it off members only live later, but also I also have to give back to the people who make it possible for me to be here as much as I am. So I truly understand what you mean on that, though. I really do. Candy, it's so good to see you. Hope you're okay, my love. So good to see your smiling face. And look at there, Marie just gifted 5 pearl necklaces, so 5 more can enter. There you go. 1 second, y'all. Okay, guys, sorry about that. I apologize. So they can. So anyway, all right. Thank you so much, my dear Maurice, for gifting 5 memberships. Really do appreciate that. It's Shannon's birthday today. Awesome, Shannon. There's someone else's birthday um today as well. Someone in chat said it was their birthday, them and their daughters too. If they're still in here, let me know. Mods, will you take down your will you take down the names? It's also my mama's in heaven's birthday today. So happy birthday to all of you. And to my mama. No worries, Sonny. No worries, Sonny. It'll be taken off members only live shortly. Don't worry about it. Hopefully, you never know. You might make sure your gifted memberships are on. Someone may end up donating, and just interact in the chat, speak in the chat, and that's usually how you get it, members. So thank you guys. All right. So without further ado, I want to get started on this because we have another live scheduled here in a little bit. And I think it is very important. And credit goes to Peter Hyatt. Peter Hyatt is one of the best, again, if you ask me. And there's some things that I want to speak on related because I truly, first I want to make it clear. I'm not here to say anyone is guilty of anything. That is not my job to do. That is only authorities' job, and they always find, whether someone is or isn't. We're not calling anyone guilty or at all. However, we can have opinions on things that have happened or that the parents, step parents, or people around this case, words the parents or step parents have used themselves. And you can have an opinion on that. It is a free country. You feel how you feel. So, and that's, what Peter does. He uses people's words. So everything here is opinions, hypothesis, theories. In no way are we saying that someone is guilty or not. That's not for us. But we can have an opinion based upon the things that they have stated, and also the things police have stated. Now, police have stated they have not named anyone a suspect in Sebastian Rogers' case. No one, no name whatsoever. So there's that. You can have your opinion on how you feel about that. That is up to you. That is what they have stated. So anyway, Closer to you, Donna. Thank you so much for becoming a member, my dear. Really, really do appreciate you, my love. Thank you so very much. Butterfly Kisses, thank you for gifting 5 pearl necklaces. Really do appreciate you. Maybe Sunny got one of those. I don't know, but hopefully someone will, he might get one. Lisa, thank you so much for 1 month. Thank you. Love your channels. Thank you for keeping Sebastian so much. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Riley's Nana, thank you, my dear. I'm really looking forward to my first members live. Thank you for all your hard work. Thank you, my dear. Really do appreciate it. I've given a lot of time to this case. That is the absolute truth. Jilly, thank you so very much. Really do appreciate you for a month. Thank you so much. So we're going to continue to try to find about Sebastian, about what was going on, and
the first thing we look for when a child goes missing is for the parents to cry out for the child. Absolutely, just cry out for the child, and to be what will appear to be at times distracted in interviews because they're spending all their effort and energy worried about what the child is experiencing at that moment. Just the pattern of innocent parents. And, regrettably, but beneficially in terms of analysis, in terms of understanding, there's been too many of these crimes to not have some form of data put together. And what we find is no different than if you were out shopping and your child wandered off, you'd start yelling and looking immediately.
Right. So, Peter makes a good point there. It is true every person is unique. It is true every case is unique. It is true that we don't know how everyone is supposed to act, if you will. However, Sebastian is not the first case. He's like that a child has gone missing. Like I always say, it's not the first rodeo. We do have data and supporting arguments to show how the a fair response for how someone behaves in the past. For instance, Peter's making a point here. Your kid goes missing. Well, you first start, if you're out at the mall, people start screaming, right? You start screaming for your kid, help, where's my child, right? It is this anxiety, it is this panic, it is this rush to find your child. And that is something, in my opinion, based upon Chris and Katie's behavior, that they didn't do. It wasn't this rush to do interviews to get in front of the news. In fact, I think Peter, I don't know if it's in this interview or another interview, I've watched all of them. He says, the news from Hendersonville said that parents breaks their silence, on day 7 or 8. The first time you're going to do an interview to speak about your child is really something, right? Jilly, thank you so very much, my dear. I love it here, Justin. Well, thank you, Jilly, for being here, and thank you for your support. Really appreciate it. Dom, thank you so very much, my friend. I really appreciate your support as well. And Elizabeth, thank you so much. Thank you for being dedicated to Katie Sebastian. Thank you, my dear. Really do appreciate it. People just don't walk out on, into thin air. Something has to happen. Some people do walk out, right? But there's something that is of some sort of material value that says they have walked out of their home. Now, we're going to really get into that in the members only live. We'll talk about here in just a bit. Fundiski, thank you so much. Gifted 5. Thank you, my dear. Really do appreciate you. If you received one of those, please make sure you guys thank anyone that gifts you a membership. Not only does it help, you guys do the members only, but it also helps support the channel as well. So please thank Fundiski, Butterfly Kisses, Maurice. Thank you all. I really do appreciate it. Yep, Mary, you're a member now. Someone get it for you. Make sure you thank him.
This particular case, 15-year-old Sebastian is autistic. I don't think in any way it's mild. I think there were significant challenges for him. In this case, he lived with his mother and his stepfather, who's ready to move to his father's. And in that initial interview, the media labeled it breaking their silence, which I thought was an accurate tag to give it. And you ask yourself, well, why would anyone be silent when their child is missing? And I don't know of any circumstances where police have said be silent. I think the standards set long ago, polygraph me, get the media in front of me, I got to get my son or daughter's name out there, face out there, that sort of thing. We didn't see that.
Yeah, it's usually, all right, polygraph me, do what you need to do. Let's get the show on the road, right? Let's get the show on the road. Clear me, and let's go. Let's find Sebastian. But you got someone playing with words, right? You got CP saying passed, didn't say who passed. Come on now. Come on. Case Candles, thank you so much for becoming a member, my dear. Welcome to the family. Really do appreciate you.
We didn't see that. We had to have the silence broken.
Thank you, Kimberly.
And so that first interview, I concluded in terms of statement analysis that mother and stepfather were concealing information about the case and the time period of the information that's missing was just before he went missing, just before he, in their words, he left. And so that I knew immediately something was wrong with this case. But some other observations on the language. Mother and stepfather did not give an indication that they knew he was dead, at least in the language. With respect to others' opinions on that, I could be wrong on it, but I'll explain why a little bit. why that is. So there was nothing for about a week, no calling out, nothing.
Love you, Joe.
And then
have a good day at
we
work.
saw
honey.
this video.
Love you.
Where to me, I'm not a body language expert.
Peter Hyatt.
But it looked like a hostage video to me. Blink twice and tell me you're okay or you need rescue, where he dominated and he was in control of the information.
Right. Chris he's a very dominant figure, right? He wants you to know that he is crystal clear, no bones about it. He wants you to know that he is brash. He is constantly wanting to push that off. He wants you to know he's the man, right? And he also wants to very much control, very, very much control, in my opinion, very much. Yeah, so he's also the one that seems to be taking on the reign, right, of how everything went. How everything went. What happened before? What happened after? He wanted to be in control of that message. Chris, I'm going to protect my wife. From what? What are you protecting her from? How about let's protect Sebastian? How about that? A child. KP is in a Navy, in the Navy, these two, I mean, who protection from what? How about Sebastian needs a little protection? How about he needed protection, in my opinion, for a long, long time?
After that, it is as if they have gone on a tour. And what it really is an apologetic tour. Apology meaning defense of the stepfather. Now, I'm going to comment on some of the interviews. I can't separate which one is which. There's been too many. So they got the memo. People were upset they weren't speaking out. Now they're speaking out all the time, and the content is so important. The content is this: Chris is a great guy, and people should mind their own business. And a common theme for him is, you better respect me. In all that I've heard, other than at times an interviewer directly asking, I've not heard Chris speak of what his stepson is going through while missing. Chris perceives himself as a victim, and he's ready to fight.
No, Chris is not retired. He, to be in the military and retire, you have to serve a full 20 years. Chris, I'm just going to say, allegedly did not serve the full 20, and that he still gets allegedly a pension. But no, not retired.
I know that some of the interviews are very difficult to watch or listen to because the interviewers just talk and talk and talk, and they don't understand. They don't hold the information. He does. And now that he's allowing her to speak, she does. Let them speak. Let them speak for themselves. When someone asks a compound question, it allows the person being interviewed to pick and choose what he would like to answer.
Right.
When they ask a multi-compound question or go on in a moralistic sense, Okay? There's no reason to moralize in a case like this. A child is missing.
Word to the wise. If please, in these sort of situations, if we are in true crime, we need to learn how to do, we need to know how to maximize an interview. Please don't, and what Peter is saying here, please don't ask a, compound question, 2 questions in one. They can answer the one that they're more comfortable with and leave the one that they're most uncomfortable out and ask them directly, right? Notice how really Nancy Grace does extraordinary questioning because she was a prosecutor. That never leaves you, right? Simple, direct questions, one at a time. Simple, direct questions, one at a time. That's it.
We want the information.
And don't start it out, you said you were here on May 3rd at 2:00, right? No. Where were you on May 3rd at 2:00? Where were you? What were you doing?
But when they ask a multi-compound question, very likely the subject of the interview, if he is showing deceit, which Chris is now, he's going to pick up on one of those things and use it for an answer because they're suggesting answers. So it's frustrating. They don't know that, they don't have training in that. And they'll go on about some personal experience and they think they're building rapport. Not with him. I said recently to someone, I've interviewed him 100 times. I haven't interviewed him. What I mean by that is I've hundreds of times interviewed controlled abusers. And almost always they're a step parent or a boyfriend. And his language gives us a lot. So this morning I was listening to yet another interview, and the usual frustration of some of it is tainted by the interviewer. Fast forward past the interviewer's monologue. It could be
well said.
Difficult to get any type of a pure answer. When he goes off for himself, then we get some. And this time, and you're seeing it more now, she's allowed to speak, and speak she does. So there's some things I want to talk about that, and some of the things they said that are revelatory. So I posted on X, which was Twitter, short commentary, a little bit of analysis, that sort of thing about my views of the case. In their initial interview, they were not just repetitive, which is sensitive, but they spoke reliably that he walked out the door.
Yes, he walked out the door. What's going to make them think he walked out the door? Why? Why would he walk out the door? Why would they think that he just walked out the door in his own accord? Right? They have told us what his likes and his dislikes is. Right? He had a great weekend. We'll get into that later. And doesn't like to be dirty, doesn't like the dark, doesn't like to be cold, okay, let's think of this. Let me find my notes here. Sebastian, he was the type of kid that liked what? He liked Nintendos, playing video games in his room. He likes certain foods. He likes certain routines. He's not going to just leave and vanish, right? He likes those things. So why would he leave? And why did Chris or Katie say, I don't know why he walked out the door? Well, how do you know he walked out the door?
Oops. And of course, some with training will question about why a door, and the door is very sensitive. As they're speaking now, they're still staying to that. And consider they may be telling the truth. And what they may be concealing, what I believe they're concealing, is an altercation of some form and an escalation that was more than just that Sunday. That goes back and part of the history for at least, I think, at least 2 years. And I'll get to some of that questions. So one of the things I posted on X was that Child Protective Services should be fully engaged here in a full investigation, and they should interview everyone, including the paternal grandmother, Seth's mother. She has said she has information. She needs to be interviewed.
Now, remember, this interview is 4 months old. So if you might have forgotten about some of that. However, not only does grandma need to be interviewed, which I'm sure that she has by now, I'm sure Sebastian's teachers has been interviewed, right? I'm sure a lot of people at that school had been interviewed because Sebastian was telling people what was going on, right? He had obviously been telling people that he was comfortable with. What was going on. Sebastian loved school, right? Because those are people, in my opinion, some of the people that he felt most comfortable with.
She needs to be heard. She should have been interviewed by law enforcement, but no less, Child Protective Services know that. One of the things that happens with a missing child case, you say, well, why would Child Protective Services get involved in a missing child case? Because we don't know what caused the child to go missing. Now, let's say the child is a victim of kidnapping. Were the parents neglectful that someone was able to get into the house? Well, how could they be neglectful if someone broke into their house? Perhaps they were intoxicated.
Okay, so Pickle Nose Granny, please put in my opinion or allegedly when you're making a comment like that. Appreciate you, but we need to make sure we put in my opinion, allegedly, and that it's not something stated as a fact. Thank you for being here. Really do appreciate it, but we don't know that. We don't know that. That's just another opinion, right?
These are things that have to be known. Also, patterns of behavior have to be known. So the interviews would be, with a missing child case, to find out if that child is found, should that child go back to this house again? Now, I covered quite a bit a while back on Summer Wells' case. And the drug involvement alone would invite all sorts of trouble onto that property.
Yes.
And then there was the language from the father that indicates sexual abuse. And it was a really bad case. And she's still technically missing. So we want to know, is the child in jeopardy if the child returns to this home? So we need to know what the home was like. We need to know the quality of the relationship between mother and child. We need to learn the history. That means, in this particular case, mother, stepfather, bio dad, grandparents, aunts, uncles, teachers, coaches, pediatrician, neighbors, anyone. And one of the questions asked, do you have concerns? And what you may learn is, yeah, we've had concerns.
That's a very important part, right? Hey, Smiley, could one of the members, or not one of the members, one of the mods drop the membership link, please? Someone is asking for it.
Or no, I don't let my own son go over there and hear the reasons why. And so it's not,
I agree, Christy,
accusatory towards anyone. It's the gathering of information. We need to know. And so in interviewing a pediatrician, for instance, have you had concerns? He opens a chart and maybe there's red marks there. I've addressed them. And my follow-up question to the pediatrician would be, have you met the stepfather? What was your impression?
Got a question for you guys. Thinking about the PF home, right? One word, give me one word. The first thing you think about when you think about the PF home, right? Is it loving? Is it control? Is it militant? Is it very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Pam, thank you so much for becoming a member, my dear. I'm glad we got it fixed for you there. Thank you so much. Thank you, my dear. Welcome aboard the Pearls. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think that says...
Because he leaves quite an impression. So the Child Protective Services, Department of Children and Family, whatever it's called in different states, should have been involved immediately, and Seth's mother should have been interviewed right from the start, both law enforcement and in Child Protective Services. Most of my viewers know that I'm very slow to criticize law enforcement. Oftentimes there's things behind the scenes that we don't know of and that sort of thing. This should have been done. This should have been done. The history is so important. I had said recently, there's no way this guy doesn't have Child Protective Services history. No way. And then I learned this morning from listening to that interview that apparently he set up, or he insisted upon, he does have CPS history. And what he said was, in 2 states, almost as if he's bragging about it, what he's doing is he's getting out in front of it. He'll answer the...
I mean, think about a lot of the interviews that they have done, right? Now, Vendetta, thank you so much for becoming a member, my friend. Really do appreciate you. Thank you, my dear. Welcome aboard the Pearls. Please welcome Vendetta. So if you think about that, right? Yeah. But think about, it would be unfair to say that they are appearing to be, well, not so much Chris, but there is Katie at times where she appears to be upset. But also, just think about how in the first days and weeks after, the first few weeks of them doing some interviews, just joking, right? Just joking during interviews, whenever there's really nothing to joke about. That's I'm not saying you have to be gloom all the time, but when you're doing something such as a very serious interview, speaking about your missing stepson, disparaging him, putting him down, joking about things, mocking him, that doesn't show much grief. If you ask me, it shows more, in my opinion, of red flags. Thank you, Women's Warrior. Debbie, thank you so much for becoming a member, my dear. Really do appreciate you. Welcome to the family.
And as people who are experienced with being investigated for child abuse understand, the Child Protective Services can't speak publicly about it. So the parent or step-parent investigated can say anything they want, and they do. And the caseworker, the department that handles this, they can't speak to it anyway. So there's nothing they can say. It's all one-sided. They can give information with police, though, and should. So what does the stepfather's language reveal? And one of my associates, Jenny, did an excellent job on we call it a psycholinguistic profile, a profile based on the language. And I alluded to this when I said, I've interviewed him 100 times, meaning that there's a pattern that emerges. He has the classic language of an abuser. And what I mean by classic is that it's repetitive, it's patterned, and it's easy to spot. If someone's experiencing that, they're going to know right away. Yeah, there we go. And when he was talking this, well, for me, it was this morning, or maybe it was last night when it was aired, he confirmed everything that Jenny wrote about. He confirmed it. About being crystal clear, that emphatic forcefulness, the aggressiveness. Yeah. Some of the descriptions people have used, including Jenny, combative, authoritarian. He is also acutely defensive. This is a guy that does not like to be insulted. And he went on and on and on. And he's done that defending himself. He ended up admitting that he has, nothing to hide. And then, of course, he doesn't answer questions. But in this particular case, he did about his marriages. This is his 5th marriage. And if you've seen some of the transcripts from Facebook, he's on his 5th marriage giving.
Right. Oh, hold on. Let me play this.
Marital. In this particular case, he did about his marriages. This is his 5th marriage. And if you've seen some of the transcripts from Facebook, he's on his 5th marriage giving marital advice. That's insight into personality.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Peter. Exactly. This man has been married 5 times, right? What, about 5 times in, say, 20 years? Think about that. He's trying to give marital advice. And that's the thing. He, in my opinion, has no insight. Blithely unaware. Just blithely unaware. Someone married 5 times trying to give people marital advice. Someone trying to give parenting advice, right? Telling, if you don't clean your room, right, take all the stuff out and have them throw it in the trash. Throw the stuff that you bought your kids as a gift that you gave them. It's theirs now when you give it to them. And throwing it away? Does he not see? This is someone who hasn't actually raised anyone, for that matter. But he thinks he knows the answers, right? He knows these answers, and he knows them so well that he wants to give us all the advice, his wisdom. Also, when nobody asked for his advice, but he wanted to bestow his wisdom upon us. Yeah, I'll play that again.
I don't care. Combative, authoritarian. He confirmed it. About being crystal clear, that emphatic forcefulness, the aggressiveness. Some of the descriptions people have used, including Jenny, combative, authoritarian. He is also acutely defensive. This is a guy that does not like to be insulted. And he went on and on and on. And he's done that defending himself. He ended up admitting that he has, nothing to hide. And then, of course, he doesn't answer questions. But in this particular case, he did about his marriages. This is his 5th marriage. And if you've seen some of the transcripts from Facebook, he's on his 5th marriage giving marital advice. That's insight into personality. I don't care how many times he's been married. I care about this poor kid. But what matters is what he's revealing. He's had 2 that he admits up to now, at least 2 CPS investigation, or at least in 2 states. I think there might be more. At one point, he was asked about Sebastian coming between them in a sense to protect his mom. And he gave a very strong laugh. A very strong laugh. Let me see if I can get that. A strong laugh. And I listened to that. I said, oh, here's the tough guy. Here's the tough guy. Here's the guy that laughs off that someone would need to come between them. Oh, he's come between them. I think that might have come from the dad as he's speaking more. We also learned how much he dismisses questions that are relevant. There were intelligent questions being asked over several interviews. One question that he became very dismissive of was he was asked, do you lock your refrigerator? And he acted as if it was absurd. It was the mother talking about that all Sebastian ate was sugar, which means the glucose roller coaster for him and his dysregulated emotions. And so that was a good question to ask. It's one of the questions I thought, hey, someone's paying attention. Someone may have some experience there. Because there's all sorts of issues around locking a refrigerator. Sometimes it's for the child's own safety. Sometimes it's because they're being treated cruelly. But it's quite nuanced. It was a great question. Another person asked, how long have you been married? And what he says is that has nothing to do with the investigation. It has everything to do with the investigation. Your demeanor, your relationship, what the household is like. If you're saying that he walked out the house, and I think you're telling the truth there, if you're saying he walked out, we want to know why. And all these things can point to the reason why. The language where he keeps talking about how brash he is, he's brash while his stepson is missing. And when someone says that, and you probably heard this in different phrases, hey, I really tell it like it is. Okay, so you are someone who irritates others and brags about it. You're giving yourself a license.
Hold on.
We want to know why. And all these things can point to the reason why. The language where he keeps talking about how brash he is, he's brash while his stepson is missing.
He's brash while his stepson is missing. He wants you to know that he's brash while his stepson is missing. Is that how you normally see someone when their child is missing? Brash?
And when someone says that, and you probably heard this in different phrases, hey, I really tell it like it is. Okay, so you are someone who irritates others and brags about it.
Like Little Richard said, a wop badaloo bop, a wop bam boom. There you go. He's proud of this. He wants you to know.
You're giving yourself a license to be that way, to be angry. No, this guy's got some real serious anger issues. He's controlling, he's aggressive. The mockery of Sebastian was rough, I think, to hear. Everything he wants to challenge and say, let's see the evidence, let's prove it, let's prove it. I've heard him speak a lot now for concern for himself. I haven't heard anything about concern for Sebastian.
Very little about the concern for Sebastian, in my opinion, as well. Like Peter says, it seems to be more about them being defended, defending themselves, not defending their missing child, right? Nothing about that. Nothing about that. Someone mocking, disparaging, putting down someone who's missing, who has a chromosome deletion, who has autism, who is scared if he's out there alone, right? Let's say Sebastian walked out on his own. Think about that, guys. let's say he walked out on his own and he was out there. He doesn't know the world. And someone is sitting up on interviews, disparaging, putting a child down who would be scared, alone, in the woods or wherever. Think about that. You know, there's, a lot of us were raised, you don't speak ill about the dead and you don't speak ill about the ill. Right? And you don't kick someone while they're down. Sebastian, if he walked off, he is the one that is down. So why is, this stepdad, speaking further, mocking, driving him down?
It doesn't mean he killed him. It means he cares about himself. I think Sebastian, what we're seeing.
Sorry guys, I apologize. Debbie, Hey Jude, and Sonina. Thank you, Debbie, for becoming a member. Hey Jude, Sonita, thank you so very much for gifting a pearl necklace, my dears. If you received one of those pearl necklaces, please thank our beloved Hey Jude and Sonina. Thank you so much, my dear friends. Really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, let's continue.
Seeing in the language or hearing is what Sebastian lived under. And I think Seth is telling the truth that Sebastian didn't wear a diaper at his house.
Listen.
But did at the mother's house. That speaks to anxiety and could be worse. I don't want to get into that now, but in the least, it can speak to anxiety of being a 15-year-old under this super insecure, acutely defensive, controlling, narcissistic, aggressive, very little man, which may indicate that Sebastian either left on his own or was put out by the mom. I'm not beyond that one yet. Let me give you a reason. It's a hint. I don't know if it's true or not. It's a hint. Let's see if I can show it to you here. It's just a small thing that I heard her say audibly that I was concerned about. He went outside to take out the garbage because it was his chore. And what?
We're going to speak a lot more about that here in a little bit as well. But tomorrow we are going to be doing some statements that I was looking in some transcripts last night and looking at them for face value is very interesting and concerning, in my opinion.
Those that are in training will recognize is that there's much sensitivity there. Okay, she explains why he went outside, and you'll see this. This is the explanation of why he went outside. But then she doubles up on it. And I heard that it's now very sensitive. And it's often a sensitivity that is indicative of deliberately withheld information. Once you told us why he went outside, we're done. You didn't have to double up on it.
Yep. Right. If he went outside to take out the trash, he went to take out the trash. But they, in that statement that Katie said, he went outside to take out the garbage because it was his chore. It's adding a double, right? They are trying to let us know that this is something normal, right? They're wanting us to believe that he took out the trash. Adding further, right? Making it crystal clear.
She did. She felt the need to double up on it. And I thought to myself, did she lock him out without his shoes at the behest, I think, of the stepfather, who shows no empathy? He has shown no empathy.
No empathy. None. Right? I love you. Or wait. Your mom loves you. Your family loves you. Your dad loves you. I love you. Tell us where you are. We'll come and pick you up. Come on. Come on now. Debbie, thank you so much for becoming a member, my dear. Really do appreciate it. Thank you. Or thank you for updating it. Thank you. Right. Now, I don't know if Peter has changed his stance, if he still thinks Sebastian may have been locked out. I don't think Sebastian was locked out, in my opinion. But still, it's very interesting to hear his opinion on this.
He may respond when he's fed something, but when he's speaking freely, when he's choosing his own words, when he is now off talking, he doesn't show empathy. Did he, on the phone, tell mother, lock him out? Is that why she has this, what we call like a hyper need to explain why he was out there? His stepson is missing. He called his stepson a liar.
Thank you, Debbie.
And Chris is the victim. CPS isn't going to answer that. So they went from not speaking to now not stop speaking. He also said on this, there's someone that does a YouTube channel that he doesn't like. And this is his theme, that he's giving these interviews to make things crystal clear, of course, the emphasis, but supposedly to get his stepson's name and face out there still. And then he says, but he won't do an interview with this one fellow because he's making money off it.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. But the very first interview Chris did with anybody, right? He says more or less to the effect of, how did he put it? that I want to make this crystal clear so there is transparency across the board. Me and the mother were on the phone. It was very lengthy, right? What does being transparent about you and the mother being on the phone have to do with a child that you are saying willingly walked out the door? You are really wanting us to believe, in my opinion, that it's crystal clear that there is transparency across the board. Okay, but that's, you're giving us things that happened before you went to bed, but putting a lot of emphasis on the phone call, right? The laying on the couch, the talking for hours, right? He wants us to know that it is crystal clear and transparency. Why would you say that? You just say, yeah, mom and I, we were on the phone, we were speaking, right? Nobody, I mean, are we supposed to doubt that? Because you are wanting, because you're already saying, you feel like people are doubting it. You're making it crystal clear.
And you see in some of these interviews, thank you for your $10. And, it seems like a televangelist type of deal. And it's distasteful. Would that stop you from getting your missing child's name and face out there? Would you really care? And then he demands respect.
Yes.
He demanded it from Sebastian, and he demands it from the audience. He's making demands on people he has no control over.
Why would Chris care if who was putting Sebastian's name out? If, as long as they were willing to share their platform, thousands of people view us every single day, right? But if you open your platform and, make $1, then it's no. So you would just rather not tell? I mean, JLR, he's got a huge following, right? Who cares if he was earning? He works hard. I work hard. The news, does he not think the news makes money? They make a lot more than Lakeside Lawyer. Thank you so very much. Really do appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much. Brandywine, thank you for becoming a member. Thank you, my dear. Of course. He would rather not tell Sebastian's story because someone might make $10. You know what? Most people would say, listen, I'll give the world. I will give the world. I don't care. Just find my kid. Thank you.
He's trying to control the narrative.
That would be the last thing I would do.
So my opinion on what happened is that he got locked out of the house, and both are responsible. And I think there's much more in terms of domestic violence and child protective services involvement than his minimizing statement about it. Much more. This is an angry man. He's not afraid to show his anger. He'll call himself brash over and over and over.
Me too, Whistle. Me too.
The one thing I found that was quite scripted was the mother is really good at repeating. And he said, "I love you, Mama." And I think some people don't understand why I flagged that, why it's so important. It's generally a sign that someone has a need to persuade what a wonderful relationship we have. It's not that you or I say, "I love you" to your children, or your children say it to you. That's expected. It's the need to make that public and make it public repeatedly.
Well said, Eve.
So I can say, and he said, "I love you, Mama," and then totally forget about supposedly searching the house and getting in the car and driving around. Because the priority is self-defense. I think they caused his disappearance because of an abusive household that he was raised in. He's the language of a classic abuser. And the targets are generally women and children.
There you go. Peter just said, classic abuser. And the victims are normally women and children. I call him a serial matrimonist.
So let me see if they have any questions and rebuttals, please. Because I don't know what happened, and I don't know if he's alive. Like anyone else, you lose hope. Oh, about the stepfather's language. He doesn't offer any hope. He was fed that a couple times by a couple interviewers, but he doesn't offer any help. It's natural that after all this time that he would be the first to crack. Based on his language, he did not have a good relationship with Sebastian. Based on his language. So he'd be the first one of denial, whereas you'll hear the father, who will come probably second, and the mother is still speaking as if he's alive. And again, with respect to those who have the opinion that there was more direct involvement, but I think that he was put out. I think it was discipline at this point. And, if more information comes out, if they get some clean interviews, it may look differently. But if I am with Child Protective, if I am with the law enforcement, I'm looking at an abusive household that Sebastian wanted to get away from.
Sebastian did, in my opinion, everything the child knowed to do to get help. That's the way I feel about it. That's my personal opinion. But when he's being told, allegedly, Sebastian, you can get in trouble for this. And then we have a missing kids. Yes. And if they run away, they certainly do have a reason. Blank, actually, I think the teachers listened. I think the students listened. But I think he was failed by
your theory.
CPS.
Series of questions. Let's see if I can take them here. Again, a lot of the questions are going to be, I don't know. Where did they take him to teach him a lesson? I don't know. I don't think they took him anywhere. I think that long phone call may have been, hey, he didn't come back. He didn't come back. Well, just wait. He's got to learn. He's got to learn. This guy thinks he's a tough guy, meaning the stepfather.
Remember, if you remember Nina's account, what she alleges Chris said about her 3-year-old, that he needs to become a man, is what Nina alleges. I personally believe every single word Nina said.
My concern is that he fell into water and he hasn't been recovered yet. That's my fear. My hope is that he met off with someone to run away and they're hiding him. That becomes weaker and weaker because the person that did that is putting themselves in legal risk. They could have gone directly to police and directly to Child Protective Services, the authorities, and got some form of sanctuary for Sebastian. There's always a rush to blame Child Protective Services. Remember, what they believe and what they can prove sometimes is two different things, very similar with law enforcement. His special needs and his behaviors were significant, and stepfather's telling us that. The repeating of the personal space, mom saying, you don't go into your teenage son's bedroom at night. They're telling you. They're telling you. You know, when you think about a child going missing, how the parents, the innocent parents, how they talk. They're always concerned with what the child is experiencing right at the moment.
Listen.
And they bring it back. And they sometimes talk about themselves when they're asked about it, but then they go back to the child.
You don't care about yourself whenever someone you love more than yourself, right? You're not worried about you. You are worried about your child. Tar, I'm sorry. Remember, just like I said just a minute ago, disparaging, talking down, mocking a child when they're missing. Who does that? Who does that?
You cherish every moment. They're what we call high hormonal events, which leave imprinting or etching upon the brain. You don't call a victim a liar. No shoes, no jacket. If that was discipline, it's pretty harsh. Good comment. I think he experienced worse.
Did y'all just hear that?
Yeah. You know, when you're talking about if that was discipline, it's pretty harsh. Good comment.
Listen to this.
I think he experienced worse. Yeah. You know, when you're talking about this type of autism.
That's right, Wist.
With a 15-year-old. So you have puberty now coming in. You have someone who's not regulated as others are. And that's why I say, no, this was not mild. If I was his bio dad, I probably would say it was mild because I can't accept how things are.
He's CB.
And I understand how challenging that would be, how difficult, what a heavy childcare burden that must be. And he apparently wanted friends terribly, and that didn't work out. I also wonder if some of the neighbors who wouldn't let their kids go over also said, we don't want to be around that guy, Chris. That wouldn't be surprising at all. You hear of someone with that type of anger. I don't want my child. Special needs are not around someone angry. He accused Sebastian of lying to the Child Protective Services.
Thank you, Holly.
Yeah, regarding the neighbors, I think he was very isolated, and that could have been up. The description of the autism, I think, is, there's an expectation that loving parents will minimize because it's very hard to accept. He had struggles. I wish for immediate legislation to protect children from predatory and abusive non-biological guardians. Laws don't stop that sort of thing. We have a case here in Maine where, and this actually is a parallel, where a boy was beat to death by mother, father, and grandmother. He was still alive when he was brought to the hospital.
Thank you so much,
and
Holly.
they did CPR
Very kind of you.
on him, and the head charge nurse came out and told the mother and the grandmother, hey, his pulse is back, which the expectation would be wonderful news. They both chimed in to say, but he's a liar. They were concerned about what he would say.
Listen to
They're
that,
both
guys.
charged with murder now, along with the father. But all the laws in the world.
Listen to that, guys, because that's a very important thing for our next live. They was afraid about what he would say.
World, they both chimed in to say, but he's a liar. They were concerned about what he would say. They're both charged with murder now, along with the father. But all the laws in the world, we have the same laws that protect you and I.
He's obviously talking about another case, but it's still, there was lots of things that he was saying, right? We're going to get into that.
I, as parents, and can be exploited by others, can't be there 24/7. What we can do is enforce laws, and that would be
yes, I know
different
Mohawk,
solution.
but I'm talking about for later. He's making an example.
Chris is laughing. Great question. What does Chris's inappropriate laughing indicate? He is dismissive. He is very high-minded. He has a very high opinion of his own opinion. He used manipulative language. He will divert. He will pause to repeat a question, and he's not reading so much, but when he's asked that verbally, as if to dismiss it. The laughter that bothered me most was the claim, which I think came from Dad, the claim that Sebastian had to get between his mother and stepfather, of which this guy says he had to call me Mr. Chris.
Mr. Chris.
So good question. I think that was high-minded dismissiveness. Also, I think it was probably insightful to what Sebastian experienced. Martina asking, can you see the mother snapped in the language? I'm not sure what that means. Yeah, I think there's quite a story to tell about New Mexico. Yeah, great point by Jason. Jason, Peter, although you've mentioned you hope he's with someone hiding him, I also hope, and he's not with someone with darker intentions. Well put, Jason, and that was some of the thoughts with Summer Wells, was she trafficked. Yeah, someone said it's very triggering to listen to him. He infuriates people. And I think his language reveals that he likes it. He likes the confrontation. I think he is. Someone wrote, I feel like Chris enjoys the attention he's getting. He does. He in his mind, through his language, he's setting the record straight. He's a great guy. He has so little self-awareness that he can give marital advice after 5 marriages. Also, by the way, he's giving out parental advice. So Chris Prydefoot is giving out marital and child raising advice.
You know, if you infuriate Peter Hyatt, you are a douche. No, another room I didn't. I don't think I did. Like Stearns, yeah.
That's what Sebastian lived under. That type of blinding arrogance. He reminds me of someone that would take a polygraph after committing a crime and rush in to take it to show everyone and still fail.
Yes. In my opinion, he certainly was.
The question was, how long has he and Biomom been together? And I'm not sure because he played 2 different things. I think they've been married 2 years, but he may have been there. He said half of Sebastian's life.
We'll get into that as well.
He's a hero in his own drama. This poor kiddo.
I want to thank Lakeside Lawyer. Thank you, my dear. And Brandywine, I thank you as well. I think I thanked you, but if I didn't, I want to thank you again. Thank you, my dear.
If Sebastian is gone, it started when Mom met him. And I'm not sure about Mom's own background. Yeah, he's the perfect parent, and all he cares about, his priority,
exactly,
is himself. If it was all about the child, he would have been out there immediately in front of the cameras saying, here's his description, here's his behaviors, that sort of thing. Yeah, and I think someone said Katie walked on eggshells. It's a great description. I think that she's now allowed to speak more, which is helpful. But I think that she is likely a victim, and maybe she's made some very poor choices in the past as well, a patterned victim. Do I think the mother will eventually turn on the stepfather? I hope so.
Me too.
But it would be, I think, in a sense, to her detriment. So I think they're in this one together in terms of that, knowing full well that they created that environment. Someone wrote, it's scary that Sebastian is having to wear pull-ups at age 15 at his mother's. And I agree, it is scary. Just something I don't find useful to talk about here now. But yeah, in the very least, it's anxiety.
Thank you, Janet.
I think that when he publicly makes fun of Sebastian, can you imagine what it was like privately for this 15-year-old?
Mm-hmm. Think about this, y'all. Sebastian, them disparaging. Well, Sebastian mocking him, disparaging him when he, they say that he walked out on his own. Don't know where their child is, if he's okay. If he's alive. Doing that for a national audience. Can you imagine, like Peter said, what it would have been like behind closed doors for him. Can you imagine?
Who may really struggle with certain understandings. Jason following up about the number of missing children, and he wrote 460,000 a year. And Jenny, welcome.
Thank you so much, Janice, for gifting a pearl necklace. Thank you so very much. That's
Glad
another
you're
one.
here.
Able to join us this
I hope you
evening.
give consideration to maybe a blog post on your profile. You did excellent work. Jenny's a colleague. Jason's a colleague. I want to know about his military background. I want to interview people that knew him. I want to know what he's like, because his language is the language of a bully.
Going to talk a little bit more about
That's why I
that
called him a
this
small
evening.
man. He's a bully. And a special needs child as a target. Really bad news. If anyone wishes me to present
Thank
your
you,
theory,
September, for 5
glad
months,
to
my
hear it.
dear.
I know Pat Brown
Oh, that's
differs.
so cute, Janice. I
think
love
that she
that.
believes it's more nefarious. The behavioral panel differs somewhat. I agree with some of the things they said about the
Not a fan
not
of
having knowledge of a death. I think that's correct. But I'm not a body language expert, and I like to hear other opinions and that sort of thing. I don't have enough of Mom's language.
Thank you, Drew.
I haven't finished that lengthy interview. It's pretty rough to listen to. Oh, you think Mom snapped? Okay, Martina, now I understand. Yeah. Martina, I agree. I think Mom snapped. I think there was an altercation, and that was guided by stepfather over the phone. My fear is that they're going to find Sebastian in some place of water, caves, that sort of thing. I hope I'm wrong. Yeah, Jenny, give some consideration for a blog post or sharing that, or however you're comfortable with.
Don, thank you for 5 months, my dear Canadian cookie. Thank you for 8 months. Thank you guys for the sweet comments.
I want to know why he said he didn't want his daughter around Sebastian.
Thank you, Chromatic.
I'll answer that with a bit of discretion. I believe Sebastian had some significant behaviors and probably was inappropriate. I'm very concerned about that household and what happened there.
Mm-hmm.
There's too, someone was saying you should watch such and such a video. There's too many. These people are constantly on it, and then you have people commenting like me on the video, and I think it gets a little bit repetitive.
Oops, where to go?
Interesting. Chris admitted he interacts with Sebastian on phone calls. That may have been one of them.
Yep. I mean, being 3 out, well, it's actually technically a 2-hour phone call. 2 hours is quite a long time. For there to not be any sort of interaction with Sebastian, you would think, right? So there is that. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. Really do appreciate your time. We are you playing NIN? Hey, Uncle Taco, I don't know what Oh, am I playing Nina? No, we're not playing Nina. Uncle Taco. However, we are going doing a members only live right after this. So join us over there. It may not I don't know if it'll show up in your feeds, like your regular live feeds. If not, just go under Clutch Them Pearls and go to your membership section, and it'll be under there. It'll show me live there. It's 7:30 p.m. The live will start at 8. I may start even a few minutes before, so you won't want to miss it. I got a notification already. Awesome. Very good. Very good. You got your notification. Good. Okay. Thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate it. We got to find Sebastian. Good, Shelly. Thank you. He was reaching out. He was reaching out, and ultimately, in my opinion, failed. All right, guys. Love you. I'll see you guys in just a little bit. Love. Bye-bye.